Hey folks, welcome back. Here in front of you is, if you've seen any of my previous videos, you know I have 3 or 4 computers I've always wanted since I was a kid, just because they looked awesome when I was a kid. This is a Model 2, Radio Shack TRS-80 Model 2. This is kind of the black sheep of the family. You hear a lot about the color computer or the Model 1 or the Model 3 and 4, but this one doesn't give a lot of love because it was a business computer, and it was sold that way and it was pushed that way. And there's some guys now that have been doing plenty of videos on it and giving a little retro love to it, but I thought I'd let you know that I finally got one. And if you've seen the previous video, you know that I also got a keyboard that didn't come with this. This was just the unit itself, and I had already gotten the 3-disc unit. So let's take a look. First, let's take a look around it. Now, this is exactly, all I did was take it out of the box. I've done nothing else. And this was worrisome. It was like this. Now, the case is in excellent condition. As far as I can tell, there's no breaks, there's no cracks, there's no deep gouges. But, of course, somebody's had it open. The only thing holding it together is a couple of screws. But it's weird that it's open like this. The seller didn't seem to be the original owner. It's hard to believe that this thing has been hanging around and being transported in this way, and nothing seems to be broke so far case-wise. There are several pluses before I even open the case. Notice the case is, to me, for Model 2, Model 2s always seem to get beat the hell up. I guess it's because it was a business computer. People actually used it in a business daily, maybe sales, and they usually got worn to death. The silver would come off, the case would be cracked, the silver on the badge would be gone. The only thing I can see really so far is this is a different type of silver. This is kind of a metallic gray paint, and this is more of a mirrored silver. And there's just a little bit of wear there, but the metallic gray looks awesome. It looks like a pen mark, but that's about it. Not bad. Model 2s came in various types. Now this is, as you can see, a 26402. That means this came with 64K of memory. Also, or I didn't even know this until I received it, this has got a hard drive card in it. That's amazing. Well, here, let me park you in the stand so I can take this case open and see what's going on. The case looks unbroken, but it's only holding on with a hair. Let's get this single screw out. There we go. Well, the 2-second tour, I don't see anything broken. I don't see anything broken in the case. It's really in good condition. Oh, what the heck is this though? I don't see anything for these metal brackets to catch on to, but these things have been physically bent with a pair of pliers. That's a plier mark here and here and here. This is all twisted. If it's new to you, it's new to me too, so let's see if we can learn anything. First, take a gander at the power supply. I have not plugged it in, of course, not yet. Take a gander down in here. Fuses seem intact. I don't see any bulging or leaking capacitors. I don't see any heat marks on the board itself. I don't see any torn wires. bus bar down there looks tight. The card cage is intact and tight. Physically, the floppy seems all right. I did test the door. The floppy opens and closes properly. At least the hatch does. Well, first eyeballs on it seem all right. Let's see what it does when I plug it in and turn it on. Now, I do have a keyboard, of course, like I said, and from a previous purchase, but just to test it, I'm not plugging in the keyboard just in case something happens to this thing. I sure don't need power plunging into the keyboard and taking that out as well. So, let's see what happens. Smoke. I hear the fans coming on. Hey, we've got a screen that looks like the microprocessor board is functioning. Well, that tells you a lot right there. It says boot error HT. Well, it tells us a lot of things. First, the screen is working, the power supply is working, the microprocessor board is working because it's actually booting or trying to boot. So the hardware is functioning up to that point. There's no problems with the screen except I don't even think you could probably see it from there. There's a slight wrinkle on the edge, but that's adjustments. But one thing I did notice is that the floppy, it didn't try to, I hear the motor in the floppy, but that's normal. 5-inch motor, remember, always spins all the time in an 8-inch floppy. But I didn't see any activity light, and it's looking for a hard drive. And right now, I don't even know, is that normal? Now, meaning, can this thing be set up where it goes straight to a hard drive without even trying to access the floppy first? That's not the way a Model 3 does. It has to access the booting software on a disk, and then it can go to the hard drive. Or is there something wrong with the floppy and it's trying to boot from the hard drive because it doesn't see the floppy? I don't know. Like I said, I'm sure there's tons of you that do. I don't. I'm wanting to show you what it's like when you have something you know nothing about. All right. So far, it looks like it's okay. So first, we're going to turn it off. And we're going to get the keyboard I got. Model 2. Okay. Ooh. Well, that front case is loose too. What the heck? I'm going to have to check that out. Can you guys see? Is that all right? Okay. Let's see if there's any change whatsoever. One thing I noticed is that it didn't ask for a keyboard, and I don't even know if that's normal. It didn't give me any kind of a keyboard error, but does it? I don't have a clue. I saw the lights flash once on the lock and the cap. There's lights on those two keys. They flashed once. That means the keyboard seems to be active. That key's stuck. Well, the lights flash, and I assume that means really power to the keyboard's functioning. It's funny, if I press the key down, the light doesn't come on with the caps lock, but maybe that's just a button problem. I don't know. Well, we've gotten that far. But still, it didn't even try to boot from the floppy. Let's delve a little deeper. You know, one thing I'm noticing, just looking it over, is the back of the card cage. You know, they have this bar to help hold everything tight against all the sockets. It just doesn't look right. It looks, for one thing, look at the cards. When you look straight down, they're crooked, but they act like there's little cuts in a piece of plastic that's on the bottom half of this to make sure these sit the way they're supposed to, but the whole thing's crooked. And I can't imagine they put something here where you see the bottom of a rivet. I'll bet you anything this is on upside down. And if I flip it over, those little pieces of those slots in the plastic will line up where those cards are straight. Let me see. I'll take it off. Let me see what's going on. We wanted to take a look at these cards anyway, didn't we? One thing I got to say, for something this old, there's some dust in it. There's some dust all over the motor for the floppy, but in general, this is very clean. There's no bugs or cobwebs. It's not like the one that Adrian had about a year ago. His looked like came out of a pond. All right, here we go. Now see, this is the way it was in. And I bet you anything, this is the way it's supposed to be. It looks like one's chipped, but you know, when you line it up, line up this card, say, to its slot, it's straight. You see? Yeah. This thing's on upside down. You put this in properly, and it lines up in the slots, and it fits better. So that was on upside down. Gee, nobody's been in here, have they? No. Let's take a look. First, what I've seen, this here's the CPU board. All the Z80s are in there. I know there's one for CPU. I think there's one that's running I/O. But this is what you would call your main motherboard. Back then it was called the CPU board. Now from the connectors, this would be not only the floppy, there's the floppy right there, but I'll bet you this is also for the serial and parallel. I bet you. That's the parallel. I bet you this is the serial. Oh, I may be wrong, but I don't think so. Yeah, I'm right. I'm right. It's going down to the parallel and serial jacks. Actually, no. This is the floppy, and boy, that's a weird setup. This is not only the floppy, that's, yeah, here's for the floppy internally, the one that went on top of the board. This is for the floppy external jack. It's back in here. This is for the parallel jack. And the funny thing is the serial lines are on the main motherboard. That's the one that was plugged into the board here. So the serial and parallel are on different cards. Get this stuff back in here. I don't want to get lost on what goes where. Not right away. So main motherboard, floppy, and parallel. This has nothing plugged into it, so I'm sure it's memory. Yep, there we go. Not bad. No No corrosion. It looks really good. I know, I'm sorry, it looks a little odd. I got sun shining right through the window on where I film. Hope it isn't bothering you. But that should be 64K. Put that back in. With my big arms in the way. There we go. Next one. This is the keyboard cable and video card. So it's your input output card and display board. There. Plug this back in. Well, I'll keep it out of the way. And this, I would guess, this is one I haven't seen, at least online, too much. Let me unplug it so you can take a closer look. Hard drive controller card. I have no idea what the settings are for. Be nice if I could find that online. Board looks good. Manufacturer jumpers. Nothing looks unusual. Nothing looks corroded. And you know, I've got an idea. It keeps asking for the hard drive controller, or it keeps asking for the hard drive. I don't know if there's a way of telling it, stop looking for a hard drive, just look for the floppy. But there's an easy way to try to see if it'll do it. Take this hard drive controller card completely out, plug everything back in. Just got this to go, and see what it asks for. And I think I want to put this back on. These things seem easy to fall out if you haven't got this thing going here. I'm going to put it in the correct way. I can see everything trying to get into a slot. That's it. Now that foam rubber can give me a little push. That's what it's supposed to be for, to make sure it's snug. Yeah. Yeah. Nice and snug. Take a look. Let me take you out of the case. Hang on. Focus. Here. There. See, now they're dead straight. That's the way it was supposed to go. See, the case is really clean down there. I am really happy with that. I sure didn't want to deal with all the corrosion that Adrian did in his. All right, let me put you back on the stand. We'll turn it on and see what it asks for now. Now, there is something I do want to see if I can show you. If I can reach down here. This is on the floppy. Now, remember back then, of course, floppies had to be terminated if they were the last one or the only one on a string. The terminator is not on the back of this unit because most of them got lost, apparently, just like this one. Now, the terminator jumpers are these guys right here. They may not be super focused, but these jumpers here, and notice, hope you can see, yeah, there you go. There's no jumpers on them. So the way it is right now, the floppy system is not terminated. So it won't work, but what we want to see is if it's going to look for the floppy in the first place, or if there's going to be floppy activity. So hold on. All right, let's see what we get now, if anything. boot error. MF. Hold on. Bet you it's the memory card. It may have to be reseated. Hold on. Worked before. Yeah, the memory card was not seated right. Well, you've got to be careful. Even with that metal bar in the back, that card can be in there crooked. You kind of got to make sure, wiggle it and make sure it's totally seated bottom to top. Let's see what happens now. Activity light on the floppy. Insert diskette. Well, there you go. Well, that kind of goes past that problem, huh? Not bad. Now, the problem is that we know that if I put a disk in there, it's still not going to work because there's no jumpers on those terminator jacks. But as you can see, I did bring our big buddy over here, the multi-disc unit, the 3-disc unit, hoping that I'd be able to use it. And that already had a disc in it, and I'll bet you anything that disc is terminated. So let me turn this off. All right, all I did was plug the ribbon cable into the back of this from the disk expansion unit over here. Let me turn it on. Okay, turn this on. I should say, yeah, insert diskette again because there's no disk. Now, I did get a disk. This should be good for Model 2, 12, and 16. This is an original disc, so I don't know the condition. It was not expensive, but it's also original. I'm worried about that. Boot error DC. What do you want to bet? Anything. The disc isn't that good. I didn't hear the head move, so here's what I'm going to do. Let me shut it off. I'll show you what I'm going to do. Here is the drive for the head unit. So I'm going to watch. I'm going to spin the head because it always searches for track 0, and track 0 is on the outside, and that's where it's always sitting. So I don't know if it's tracking at all. So I put it out there by hand. I turn it on, and the first thing it should probably do is to try to come back to track 0. Then we know that that motor is working correctly. All right, let's see what we get now. This is still in it. I heard the head move back to track 0, but not reading the disc. Now, it could be one of 3 things. The head's out of alignment, the head's dirty, or the disc is bad. Or it could be all 3. Honestly, visually, the head just doesn't look that dirty. I'm going to clean it anyway, of course. Hold on. I can't hold the flashlight, the camera, and the Q-tip all at once here. The rail seems fine, but I'll put just a drop of light machine oil on it, run it back and forth just in case it helps. Well, taking a look at the disc too does not look promising. Take a look. I think you can see it on the video. It just looks, all those spots, it's not dust, it's not water spots. I would say that it's degradation of the disc. It's not promising, but we'll take a shot. Hey, something's happening. 64K memory loading. Oh my God. It's reading a disc? I don't know if it'll read the whole way, though. It looks bad. I'm going to have to use something better than this. That disc is completely original and completely decrepit. You know, I was taking a look at this case because the entire front is also super loose all over. And I thought, well, maybe the screws on the inside of the front panel are loose, but they're not. I'll show you. Like I said, I thought the front screws are loose, but I tried a screwdriver on them and they're dead tight. And if you take a look, let me see if you can tell. It's because that metal plate is bent forward like somebody was prying, trying to get the front case off. Gee, you think it's bent out of place? Let's see how the front cover does now. All right. Oh, that's good. There. Hopefully that helps pull the other one closer so I can use this screw over here. Oh yeah, that's good. And it's going in just all right. Snug. Good job. All right. How are we at the bottom? Pretty good. Now, you got to realize there's a little bit of play here because the two tangs that feed into the bottom case are broken off. So that would have helped keep this from moving a touch. But it's nice and solid here at the bottom now. All right. Let's put a screw in the top and see how that does. See if I screwed that one up, huh? All right, folks, I found some data online. What they said, it's about the hard drive. What they said was two things. First, the system looks for the hard drive first, and it doesn't sound like it looks for anything else when it doesn't see that hard drive when you've got a hard drive controller card in it. But you can tell it to switch back to floppy drive control with a few different key presses. So I'm going to put the card back in as I found the right socket. I'm going to put the card back in and see if that works. And that, of course, assumes that the keyboard works. That's another thing we don't have a clue on. All right. Book said procedure was turn it on. When it says it can't find the hard drive, hit reset and then immediately hold down break and repeat. And it should go to floppy control. Let's see if that works. Make it look for the hard drive first. Okay. Reset. Break, repeat. What do you want to bet no key on this thing's working? All right, you know what the next step is. We're going to crack open the keyboard, which I hate. Still got the original service sticker on there. This thing, and that looks like the original. This thing's never been opened. And that's probably why it's got crappy capacitive foil contacts in here that I'm going to have to swap out. So hold on. All right, the screws are out. You're seeing it with me as we pull it open. Very clean, very clean. That's good. Very clean inside, like a dog hair. Oh yeah. Shoot, some of them are just stuck. Foam is stuck on here. Oh, yeah, that's good stuff. There ain't no one. Look how dirty they are. There ain't no one of those keys that would have worked. Not one. Ugh. Completely covered in debris from the foam. Oh, it's filthy. There isn't a single key on here that would have worked. Well, I had to show you. I just turned it upside down and it rained. There's not a single one of them that didn't. There's no foam left at all. This glue is so bad. Either plastic backing completely degraded or they glued them in and the glue degraded the plastic backing. But this is an absolute nightmare. I mean, it's coming out in little bitty pieces. This is going to take forever. Folks, this took several hours to do. Well, it's actually been a few days since that last clip because I didn't have enough of the replacement foam keypads. But I got a batch in and I've got it complete. Looks pretty good. If you are repairing keyboards from old computers or something else that has a keyboard that might sport one of these, make sure you've got plenty on hand because they go quick. And I guarantee you, if anything used these in the past, they always 100% need replacing. You've seen what foam does over time. Okay, I'm going to reassemble the keyboard and we'll see how good it does. Okay, keyboard's reassembled. In the meantime, I also bought a new copy of the diagnostic disc for Model 2. Hopefully this one will read that other thing I had. It's damaged. It doesn't work. Let's see what happens. See if we get any keyboard response. Now remember, supposed to make sure that when it's not looking, if you don't want it to look for the hard drive, you hit break and repeat together. Hey, there we go. Let's see what it comes up to, if anything. Still going strong. Looks promising. And we've got a diagnostic menu. That's great. The one thing that I'll do while you're still here is I'm going to quit and go to DOS. Okay, let's test out the keyboard, at least most of them. Looks good. Looks real good. All the keys work right off the bat. That's a new one for me. Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this one off at this point because I want to see if I can make a bootable floppy. And the biggest part of the next part of the video is, since I've got a 3-disc expansion unit here, who wants 1 disc in it? So I got another one. And should be interesting because it was listed as some corrosion. Yeah. And look at all the bent pins here at the end. That's pretty. Yeah, this thing is, gosh, this thing's rusty as heck in there. Look at all that. This is going to take some work, and it's going to take a second video. So, hey, come back soon, and thanks for watching.